You got this.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
It's 8 o'clock. Breakfast is being served at Ellen's downtown.
Hi, I'm Todd Boatwright. This is your Spectrum News in 90. The man accused of killing 5 neighbors in Cleveland near Houston has been indicted on a capital murder charge. Police say Francisco Oropesa stormed into his neighbor's house after being asked to stop firing his gun as a baby was trying to sleep. Prosecutors have not decided whether they will seek the death penalty. A Texas judge must turn over records related to the Uvalde mass shooting. Those records include emergency communications, dash cam video, and 911 calls. Many outlets from across the country sued Texas DPS for refusing to share that information. In Texans, it's slightly less expensive to celebrate July 4th this year. The national average cost of a summer cookout is about $68 for 10 people. Here in Texas, it's about $63. Now,
heads up if you have those holiday plans for your Sunday, as we are expecting some afternoon showers and even a few thunderstorms, so make sure you have a good way of getting those weather alerts. After that, though, we will dry out into our Monday with a little bit more sunshine and also a slight warm up, going from low 90s into mid 90s with better rain chances for the middle of next week.
hello, thank you for joining us here on Spectrum News 1. I'm Todd Boatwright. While it's still hot this weekend, that extreme heat should be letting up as it moves east. But across the state, the heat wave caused a big uptick, though, in heat-related injuries, with some turning deadly. At least 13 people so far have died in Texas due to the extreme temperatures. 11 of those happened in Webb County, that's in South Texas. State health officials are also seeing a rise in heat-related emergency calls and are urging folks to stay out of the heat as much as possible. Well, it's dangerous enough just being outside during this extreme heat, but imagine cooking in it. Blessing Uwachuku spoke to a business owner who says the heat is impacting their bottom line.
Grill is cooking up. It's really hot in here. I'm talking heat exhaustion, heat stress, vomiting, and passing out. Those are just some of the issues people who work in the food industry are dealing with, and this is their livelihood.
George Vega is making some much needed modifications to his family's food truck, like adding this vent.
We got air coming in. It should help.
The owners of Grunt's Grill in San Antonio are going to need all the help they can get.
Summer gets really hot. This is probably one of the hottest summers I've had in here.
More than last year?
Worse than last year. So it'll be like 105, 103 out here, but it's like 120 over that grill.
And that intense heat has taken a major toll on their bottom line.
Our profit was cut in half probably starting the first week of June. And we expect that first week of June, because school lets out, everybody takes vacation. Second week of June, we should be back to where we're at again. But we're not. It's just too hot.
Their small business is not the only one seeing finances go up in flames this season.
Well, the impact will be in the millions for a heat wave. Businesses will be scaling back. Consumers should expect delays or extensions because of this. And it could force businesses to really reduce their operating capacity, as you mentioned, or really cut their services and their income at the same time, if not by a third, in half.
A decline in cash flow is a huge concern for any business owner, but cooking in the heat has led to some health scares for the family.
For my son's safety and for my safety, we started getting a little sick in the truck, started getting headaches, it started getting too hot. So, and I try to switch out with him, but we have heard about other food trucks where they're getting heat exhaustion, the dizzy spells, everything that comes with it. So for us, we just chose to close it down.
They work from morning until early afternoon and return to the grill in the evenings until late at night. They also change their menu, offering cold meals like chicken salads. But even with all those updates, Regina says there's a day.
Turning now to the southern border where a giraffe is sparking controversy. Activists say he doesn't belong there and should be moved to a place more suitable. Our Luis Garcia and JJ Maldonado explain.
Esa mirada es una mirada de tristeza, de soledad. Viendo la mirada y la cara de este ejemplar, pues sinceramente estamos viendo un signo de interrogación por encima de su cabeza. ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Por qué estoy aquí?
This is Benito, a 3-year-old giraffe who was brought a couple of months ago to the Central Park of Ciudad Juárez. But for some members of the border community like Ana Felix, the conditions where Benito lives are unacceptable.
Realmente es una condición triste, es una condición donde si tú puedes caminar en semicírculo.
One of the most serious problems for Ana is the lack of care for Benito's diet.
Y podemos ver que no hay un vigilante, no hay un guardia, no hay nadie que controle aquí el acceso de la gente al parque, bueno, a esta escalinata, y cualquier persona puede venir a darle lo que quieras.
That's why Ana has spent the last few weeks collecting signatures to get Benito a better place to live.
Esto no es un zoológico, entonces este animal pues no debe de estar aquí. Ese es el pronunciamiento que nosotros tenemos ante el gobierno del estado, este parque que pertenece al gobierno del estado.
After an intense search, Ana finally found the perfect place for Benito. The Blue Hills Ranch, located in McGregor, Texas, just under 100 miles from Austin, is a sanctuary that rescues animals and has a large piece of land where some giraffes already live.
We try and get them out, and the leaves, the vines, the bushes, they have free will to do whatever it is they want.
Ana contacted Matt to let him know about Benito's situation and ask for his help.
I think it's definitely opened the eyes of everyone. To know, like, gosh, he just has a big dirt field, is all, a big dirt lot is all he has, and I don't want to say that's not right, but man, that's not right.
At this ranch, Matt claims to have everything necessary for Benito to live happily.
And so this houses our 2 giraffes, and the next barn we'll be able to hold 6 giraffes. This is what the giraffes eat, so they make a special pellet for that.
And although Matt mentioned that they will take care of the logistics and expenses of moving Benito to Texas, the last word is with the government of Chihuahua.
Whoever owns Benito, which I really don't know if it's the city, the state, the country, who owns Benito obviously has to say, okay, we'll let him go. So that's the first step. No one of that word happens.
This is a case of interceding for those who have no voice. And Ana says that she will continue to be the voice of Benito.
Hola, Benito. Pues aquí estamos luchando por tus derechos, Benito. Te prometo, Benito, que vamos a incansablemente a estar día a día aquí contigo. Si Dios me presta vida, aquí vamos a estar luchando por la vida, los derechos y por el bienestar de este animal.
And coming up, the story of an East Texas couple that couldn't be sweeter. We'll show you why they decided to make bees their business. Plus, fireflies around Texas are disappearing and we might be to blame. We'll explain all that coming up after the break. Stick around.
Stay connected to Spectrum News 1 with the Spectrum News app. Stream your trusted team live on the go or from home. And stay updated on the local news and weather forecasts that matter to you. Spectrum News, your community connection. Weather can be beautiful and at times powerful. Our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Texas holds a very special place in both my heart and my family's heart as well. My dad started in the news business in 1955, so my dad was my idol. He was my mentor. I spent so much time in that world. I knew I just had to be a part of it. My life's purpose has been about informing, educating, and most importantly, connecting with people. It has been people and make a difference in people's lives. I'm Brett Shipp, anchor, Spectrum News 1.
Watching Spectrum News 1. Thanks for spending part of your holiday weekend with us. Here's a look outside. This was a time lapse over UT Dallas. A cloudy sky for the most part from Saturday afternoon. A little bit of sunshine here and there, but the clouds are going to stay with us this weekend and into our Sunday. We'll be in the lower 90s, so I think you're going to notice a much welcome cool down, although still in the 90s, so it's still going to be warm. And we do have a good chance of afternoon spotty rain, even some thunderstorms, which may mean you might need to change around those plans a little bit. So we'll get right into the timing here. As early as 10, seeing on this model some showers and storms popping up across the Metroplex, particularly Fort Worth and just to the north. Going into lunchtime, about 2 p.m., we might get a little bit of a break there in the Metroplex as the storms shift further to the south, but they're still going to linger there, and even into dinner time, we could see a couple of isolated showers and storms. So as always, just have a good way to get weather alerts and try and be flexible with those plans. Monday morning, some sunshine. We look dry, but into the afternoon, we could see a couple of pop-up showers. I don't expect any storm activity. We'll see better rain and storm chances return to the forecast into about the middle and end of next week. We're talking about Thursday into Friday. That's when the rain will be a little bit harder to avoid. As we stack up those rain chances over the next 7 days, it's not a total washout. It's probably going to be less than an inch, and that's when we put it all together over the next 7 days. So we have rain chances, but we're not worried like that at this time. That's the good news. Going into your 7-day forecast, we do stay in the 90s over the next 7 days, but we do get a break from those triple digits. 96 for your Monday, those temperatures staying through midweek next week.
Well, here's a question for you. When was the last time you saw a firefly? Remember those? We're not seeing them around Texas as much these days. In fact, some of the 2,000 species are at risk of extinction. Nicolette Perdomo shows us.
There's this variation in the landscape. That's what our fireflies are needing.
Sam Kieschnick loves catching all sorts of bugs in his net and studying them.
Once we start looking in here, we'll start to see lots and lots of bugs.
He goes into detail about each critter in the Lone Star State having a purpose.
All of these little essential for the birds, for the mammals, clean air, clean water.
He remembers summer nights as a child outside with a net and a mason jar catching fireflies.
There are fewer fireflies now, especially in the urban ecosystem, than we saw when we were younger.
As Kieschnick explains, there are a few contributing factors as to why we don't see the lightning bug as often these days.
So the pesticide use may be a reason. We also change our landscaping. So we've removed some of the taller grasses, we've removed the shrubs where we have just short grass and the canopy. Well, fireflies need that whole vertical variation.
He says another reason you don't see them as often is light pollution.
So some folks say you got to go out to the wilderness to see fireflies. Well, that's probably where you can see some, or if you change your own landscaping, change your pesticide use, turn off those lights when you don't need.
They're part of our ecosystem. They control garden pests like snails, slugs, and aphids. Kieschnick wants all bugs to thrive in our ecosystem and hopes more people try to live amongst bugs instead of getting pestered by them.
Even the word bug, we use it as a verb. You know, I bug you. And it's kind of a shame because there's beauty in bugs. And when we try to get rid of a little tiny critter that may be an annoyance or a bother to us, that impacts all the other bugs.
Well, now to another kind of flying creature. One couple in East Texas has turned bees into a business. The honey they sell comes in all sizes, even flavors, and it all began with a twist of fate. When bees are your business, it becomes FedEx to hang out at the hives. A lot of hives.
We went from having 2 hives to 200 in 5 years.
Her and her husband's bee business is called Honey Apple Farm. It sits on several acres in Ben Wheeler, about an hour or so east of Dallas. On this day, it's time to gather honey from the hive.
We call it robbing the bees, but yeah, it's harvesting honey.
From here, it goes to the honey house. It's where Gwendolyn spins it, extracts it, and bottles it.
I will only bottle the honey that passes my taste test. If I don't like it, I won't bottle it. That's good. That's soluble honey.
And little did Gwendolyn know she was marrying into a beekeeping family. Her husband comes from a long line of beekeepers. He decided to carry on the tradition following a major health scare.
He has a gen that causes blood clotting, and we did not know about it, and it almost killed him.
Kenneth survived and decided to follow his dream.
He was like, I almost died. I never had my bees. That was always my dream. I want to be a beekeeper, and I want to be like my grandpa.
In 2017, his bee business was born. Fast forward to 2023, it all runs like a well-oiled machine. And they don't sell just any old honey from these hives. The difference is in the taste, some with a few extra flavors added in.
Lemon and peach, and then we started doing a jalapeno and a strawberry. And then we ended up with blueberry and blackberry and lavender, hibiscus, coffee.
And no matter how you slice it, there's something here for everyone. Nothing goes in these bottles without Gwendolyn's seal of approval. For her, even a few bee stings along the way is all worth it.
I actually enjoy the bees when the weather's nice and the bees are behaved.
And up next, recent storms are taking a toll on Texas agriculture. We'll hear how farmers are trying to save their crops after the break.
All right, Texas, with the holiday weekend here, we are all looking for some relief from the heat, and some of us will see that into our Sunday with trading triple digits for some 90s. So we're going to crank the heat down just slightly for the second half of the weekend. Here's what your Sunday will look like. Rain chances for some. We actually will see a couple of storms in Dallas-Fort Worth. Otherwise, dry and sunny for deep South Texas, and a slight chance of rain out west in El Paso.
Society's biggest questions may be found in the youngest minds. Does poverty impact a child's development, their performance in school? The hypothesis that mothers who have access to cash raise babies with stronger brain development.
The basis of the baby's first year study is really to understand whether providing economic support would change children's trajectories.
Exploring your health, budgeting for brain development, available on all your favorite devices.
When you buy Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month, you get a second line for free. So get one line for yourself and a free line for your devoted friend. Or you can get one line for yourself and one line for your kid.
Sold.
Or both lines for yourself. I use one for business and another for business. I do a lot of business. Get one line of unlimited for $29.99 and get a second line free for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
We have one mission, and that is to serve our community.
Our goal with Spectrum News 1 is to tell people's stories. We are telling a person's story in a way that's relatable to who they are.
It's my responsibility to know the issues here in Texas, but also, more importantly, to know who it affects.
We want to make sure that you know what's going on in politics and weather and entertainment. You're going to get storytelling about your local community. Your evening on Spectrum News 1, weeknights starting at 5.
The tornado that left this trail of destruction in the small town of Matador last week was an EF3. That's according to the National Weather Service. It killed 4 people and injured a dozen more. DPS says nearly 30 buildings were destroyed and several others had significant damage. Well, severe storms can also devastate Texas agriculture, leading to costly replanting of crops. Nicolette Perdomo has more.
This right here is an example of a corn stalk that saw some hail damage. They are ripped to shreds. Farmers say it doesn't take much for the hail to impact their crops. This is what it looks like to harvest wheat. Russell Sutton has been doing this for 30 years and counting.
Hail in North Texas every year can be a problem.
When the wheat plant reaches its final stages in the growing process, it's dry enough to be harvested. Recent hailstorms in North Texas have had a negative impact on these wheat crops.
The wheat plant here, you notice there's a head on top of a stem, and all of the grain is located in the head. If it falls on the ground because of hail, then there's no way to pick it up.
Sutton says, along with the hail, other things impacted the crops as well.
But as you can see, all of this wheat is leaning over. That's just because of high winds and heavy rain.
David Drake is a Texas A&M AgriLife extension agent. His sorghum, cotton, soy, and wheat. He says hail causes devastating yield losses for farmers.
You would call your crop insurance adjuster, and they would come out and they would estimate what the loss was and what the potential yield was, and then you would do a claim.
The shredded leaves on corn and other plants are a telltale sign of where large hail poured down. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, weather conditions, including hailstorms, cost Texas farmers more than $6.4 billion in crop losses in 2022.
All your inputs of seed and fertilizer and labor, yeah, it's all wasted.
But overall, the less there is to harvest, the worse it is for farmers, who then have to start again from scratch next year.
As the wheat is in this stage closer to maturity, then you can see a lot more damage, up to, you can see a complete loss of a crop, or it may be as low as 10%.
And as severe weather season continues, we've already set a new record high for hail. According to NOAA, there were more than 300 preliminary reports of hail over 2 inches last month. Now that beats the previous record from 2011 of 208. Texas had more hail reports than any other state. Well, the cost of home repairs after these storms can be really expensive and sometimes impossible for Texans to afford. Adolfo Muniz introduces us to some folks in South Texas who are coming together in a unique way to help their neighbors.
Loteria. It's a traditional game enjoyed by generations in Mexico and in the United States. Why would the Rio Grande Valley be an exception? It's a lot of fun, but this time it's for a good cause. People in Hacienda West Colonia is helping one of their own.
Beneficio de un familiar, una persona de aquí de la comunidad que necesita ayuda para un trasplante de riñón, le están haciendo diálisis.
Adelita also came to help and to enjoy this game that is played like bingo, but with colorful pictures. Despite of her enthusiasm, someone else in her table keeps on winning. But it's really not about that. People here have to help each other, she says.
Pues de hecho es importante juntarnos porque si el día de mañana ocupa el vecino de enfrente, pues tenemos que ir a dar allá y entre todos pues, se hace un mejor mundo.
Es bien importante que entre todos vayan a poner su granito de arena para poder ayudarnos. Es difícil, especialmente en estos tiempos. Hace días pues llegó una granizada y pues todos necesitamos ayuda aquí, ¿verdad?
That is an easily.
People living in mobile homes, so it's very tragic. It's very tragic, and then to recover from those natural disasters, it takes a long time.
But despite that, almost everyone was affected, and despite of no matter how little they have, they gather to support someone in worse need than they are. It's an uphill battle against poverty, says Adelita.
Algo fuerte porque no nomás en esta colonia, sino en varias colonias hemos visto que sí se sufre.
But in this colonia just south of Brownsville, at least for a fleeting moment, people can now weekly forget about their daily struggle and just play the beloved game of Loteria.
And still ahead, many Texans face issues finding accessible health care, but it could ease the struggle. We've got details on that up next. And later, we've got a special guest in studio to show us how she's helping Texas kids learn valuable life lessons. Keep it here.
A thriving community is an informed community, and being able to play a role in bringing people the news is something. There's just so many things to love about the state of Texas. Southern hospitality, great food. I love that there are so many different cultures celebrated. I want people to turn us on in the morning and feel like they've got the information they need to go out and conquer their day. I'm Alex Stockwell, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
With Spectrum Mobile, your mobile speeds are already amazingly fast, but now they've developed Speed Boost. And it's only possible because Spectrum Internet, Advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile all work together. It's like speed on top of speed on top of speed, or like taking a shot of espresso, like this one. Woo! Then chugging an energy drink, yeah! And then being shot out of a cannon. Let's light this candle. Change my mind. Change my mind, change my mind. Get fast speeds on your mobile devices with Speed Boost, only from Spectrum Mobile.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are connected, engaged, from the moment we rise. We move. We adjust. We learn, explore, relax, and grow together so we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Every 10 minutes, also available on the Spectrum News app.
Good evening, Dallas-Fort Worth. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Addison Kaboomtown, known as Texas' largest fireworks event, is happening Monday. Organizers say about 500,000 people from across the country come to see the Addison Airport Air Show, followed by fireworks. The air show starts at 7:30. The fireworks happen around 9:30. Well, that wildfire in Palo Pinto County is around 75% contained. That was the latest information from the Texas A&M Forest Service. It burned 1,000 acres west of Fort Worth. And Texas game wardens urge people to be safe in the water this 4th of July holiday period. Many Texans will be spending time around the lake, river, and the coast. Safety precautions they suggest include wearing a life jacket, learning to swim, and not operating a boat while intoxicated.
Dallas-Fort Worth, here's a quick look at your Sunday forecast. We have a pretty solid chance of rain and even some storms, particularly after lunchtime. As we go into the afternoon, about 2 to 4 p.m., that's when you're going to want to be especially flexible with any plans that you may have, and make sure you have a good way of getting those weather alerts. Stick around for more details in your 7-day forecast.
Hi, welcome back. Well, getting the medical attention you need is not always easy in Texas, but that could soon change. A group in San Antonio is working to close health care gaps. Amber Hughes shows us.
There are health disparities in San Antonio depending on your zip code. Community health care workers are striving to make things better for their neighbors. Is passionate about music.
I'm also like into doo-wop, Chicano soul and doo-wop soul.
Growing up in Del Rio, he says music helped him build connections in his community.
I was raised up playing music, so I'm a musician. I'm not just a drummer, I'm a singer.
Now living in San Antonio, that relationship building helped during the early stages of the pandemic.
If I knew information that they didn't know, I would share it, but then I would also listen to the information that they had to share with me.
Joaquin is rebuilding that trust as a community health worker, attending events like this Wellness Fest to educate others about health risk and prevention.
A lack of resources for my community. Very important for me to be a brown person and a community of color.
Health Confianza started in 2020 to improve health outcomes in San Antonio.
Health inequities are not new.
As the implementing director of the nonprofit, Dr. Jason Rosenfeld says SA has some of the greatest health inequities in the country. Those disparities impacting mostly black 22 zip codes on the south, east, and west sides of town.
Lower educational levels, lower access to high quality foods, as well as low access to health care and health insurance.
Health Confianza hosted its first Health Equity in Action Summit, looking at the impact of vaccine clinics and other initiatives that have been implemented over the last 2.5 years, determining how the 40+ public health partners can continue putting the people first.
So that when we are designing programs and trying to address those health inequities, the community voice is always going to be present.
Dr. Rosenfeld says it's hard to determine how much the equity needle has moved in just a few years, but he knows there would be zero progress without community health workers like Joaquin.
They serve as that bridge between those health and social services and the communities.
It's now in effect. Businesses are now required to provide reasonable accommodations to pregnant employees or have pregnancy-related health issues. Those accommodations include things like longer breaks, flexible work hours, and time off for medical appointments. Meanwhile, health officials confirmed the first cases of malaria in the U.S. in 20 years. The CDC says 4 cases were reported in Florida, 1 here in Texas. Malaria is often spread through mosquitoes. Scientists warn malaria could become more common here in the U.S. as temperatures continue to go up. Well, a new piece of technology is helping athletes hone their skills. Justin Honore shows how a coach in North Texas is using artificial intelligence to help his players reach their full potential.
Your good days, your bad days.
John leaves soccer. As a former academy player in England, he now extends his knowledge for the game to the youth of Comtel as a club soccer director.
3, 2, 1. Go, go, go! Head over that ball.
He is always looking for a way to better teach the game. So when you heard of artificial intelligence being involved in soccer, all he could say,
just like, wow. Can't really say much more, you know, just the advancement with technology now and how we're using it, you know, in the sport that I love is just amazing.
As the old sports saying goes, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. And Trace, an Austin-based company, is trying to advance this quickly evolving technology. The company uses AI to not only film game action, but also clip individual highlights for each player.
Starting to report. Please raise tripod and position camera.
Internally, we talk about AI and I really think that's a good analogy. It just supercharges every place you want to go and makes that easier to do.
Trace CEO David Lawson equates this AI technology to a parent watching their kid play the game. The technology not only is able to identify the player through their jersey number, but also by the style of play and the mannerisms the player displays.
As the neural network learns how to distinguish between these attributes, it understands the differences in players in the same way parents understand the differences in their children.
Davey sees AI holding a future in sports. He believes advancements like this will not only save time, but also help in developing future players.
Being able to use this, for good in terms of, players developing, me personally as a coach, being able to use something like this saves me tons of hours that I can then dedicate, more to the players and what we're doing on the field.
And in other tech news, the city of Dallas is getting a new cyber security system after approving a nearly $4 million deal for a new detection system which will monitor things 24/7. This all comes just 2 months after the city was hit by a ransomware attack. Meanwhile, Texas-based USAA is reporting a data breach affecting more than 2,500 customers in the state. The report posted on the Texas Attorney General's website states the breach lasted more than 5 months and was caused by a third-party contractor. So far, no fraudulent activity has been reported. And coming up, Texas cities continue growing really fast. We'll see how one North Texas county is dealing with the population boom after the break. Plus, a new technology looks to help kids with attention deficit disorder. We'll show you how it works. All that and more ahead on Spectrum News 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Carla Leal. This week we are celebrating Independence Day. It's a time to reflect on the importance of our country's freedom and to recognize our Texas troops. On the next In Focus Texas, we'll take a look at how state leaders and advocates are honoring and caring for our Texas veterans. You don't want to miss it, so join us Sunday or set your DVR for all the details. I'll see you then.
I am most satisfied when I'm making a difference. I get to go to work every day and communicate with fellow Texans who understand that quality of life matters and the choices we make matter. And if they can trust information with them, then I'm a happy camper. I'm Dr. Nicole Cross, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
From coast to coast, you've seen us around. We live and work in the communities we serve. Our commitment runs deep. We're invested here, creating good jobs and supporting small businesses, many of which we're proud to call customers. You count on us to keep you connected to what matters most. And we're committed to delivering you the best internet, TV, and mobile service. We're Spectrum, connecting the places we all call home.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
Up to Shelter Pet, we discovered they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure
love.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful, and it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News 1, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm, Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
watching Spectrum News. Look outside. This was a time lapse over UT Dallas. A cloudy sky for the most part from Saturday afternoon. A little bit of sunshine here and there, but the clouds are going to stay with us this weekend and into our Sunday. We'll be in the lower 90s, so I think you're going to notice a much welcome cool down, although still in the 90s, so it's still going to be warm. And we do have a good chance of afternoon spotty rain, even some thunderstorms, which may mean you might need to change around those plans a little bit. So we'll get right into the timing here. As early as 10 a.m. on your Sunday, we're already seeing on this model some showers and storms popping up across the Metroplex, particularly Fort Worth and just to the north. Going into lunchtime, about 2 p.m., we might get a little bit of a break there in the Metroplex as the storms shift further to the south, but they're still going to linger there, and even into dinner time, we could see a couple of isolated showers and storms. So as always, just have a good way to get weather. And we look dry, but into the afternoon, we could see a couple of pop-up showers. I don't expect any storm activity. We'll see better rain and storm chances return to the forecast into about the middle and end of next week. We're talking about Thursday into Friday. That's when the rain will be a little bit harder to avoid. As we stack up those rain chances over the next 7 days, it's not a total washout. It's probably going to be less than an inch, and that's when we put it all together over the next 7 days. So we have rain chances, but we're not worried about flooding or anything like that at this time. That's the good news. Going into your 7-day forecast, we do stay in the 90s over the next 7 days, but we do get a break from those triple digits. 96 for your Monday. Those temperatures staying through midweek next week.
Well, Texas cities lead the nation in population growth. That's according to the U.S. Census. And more than 1 million people now call Denton County in North Texas home. Some of the folks behind that growth.
We all know North Texas is rapidly growing, and that is more than evident in Denton County, reaching 1 million residents now. Many people coming out here for many different reasons, including businesses like DSP Dynamics, but also a brand new one and meant to move.
We're just rotating like that, coming back. Perfect. Good.
Dr. Alex Linton knows all about movement.
The muscles. Yep, you're relaxing in my hands.
That's why he and his wife Cassidy opened up Meant to Move in Argyle.
Loving it, loving the area, just loving everybody we're serving.
And in a literal sense, they're new to Denton County, making the move from Dallas at the start of the year.
It's a really fun community, and we're excited to continue to get to know people, make connections.
Which makes them just a couple of the now more than 1 million residents who live in Denton County.
Everyone's seeing the all the value that this area, Denton County in general, has to offer.
The North Central Texas Council of Governments' latest data in the past year, with 4 other communities, including Argyle, seeing some of the fastest growth in DFW.
We would say we're newer to the area, but we already feel like our roots are settling in.
Other notable counties that saw major growth include Collin and Ellis in that report, while U.S. Census Bureau data shows Travis County at a 2.8% increase between 2020 to 2022. While Bexar County saw a 2.5% increase in that same time frame.
Perfectly, just like that. All right, we're going to take a walk.
Denton County is an area where voters recently passed a $650 million bond to improve roads, bridges, and highways. County Judge Andy Eade says that'll help with growth.
Safety improvements, followed by congestion relief and also economic development.
You know that the humerus is sitting exactly where we need it to be.
For Alex and Cassidy, this is home, one they say they're ready to keep growing up with.
In Chronicle, about 300 people move to Texas every day, perhaps because of the lower cost of living. The average home in San Diego, for example, cost about $870,000, while in Houston, the average cost is less than half of that. And as the state population rises, so does the conversation around preserving some Texas land from new development. Dylan Scott shows us what's being done to increase conservation.
The acquisition of Honey Creek Ranch just north of San Antonio by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department creates sort of a blueprint for future preservation efforts here in the state of Texas.
The headwaters of Honey Creek. So, one of, if not the last remaining pristine creek in Texas.
Local park superintendent Brandon Lopes-Banca knows a win for Texas when he sees it. Adding 515 acres to Honey Creek State Natural Area is just that.
Parks and Wildlife can use it and use it well, protect it, people to visit to where it's going to look great and be here for future generations. All right, be ready?
Originally set to become a development, Loeb Spanka says the $25 million purchase is essential to protecting the watershed, surrounding ecosystem, and drinking water that could have been disrupted by construction.
There's a slew of domino effects that if this resource wasn't able to be protected, that it would cause a lot of issues for us.
Ultimately, it was a good deed that got this deal done. Landowners Ronnie and Terry Urbanzik said they could have made 5 times the amount, but their family's love for the land and Texas won out.
For us to give it to the great state of Texas and the citizens of Texas so they can come enjoy it for the next 1,000 years, it means a lot to us.
With 95% of the state's land privately owned, conservation efforts will hinge on these type of negotiations. Texas State Director of the Nature Conservancy believes November's billion-dollar ballot initiative to purchase land for public use is huge.
We hope that more and more landowners will get this message and understand that before they choose to go forward with development, maybe there's opportunities to win-win, have portions of it for conservation, and work with organizations like us.
According to several environmental agencies, Texas loses 250,000 acres to development yearly, which means the time for these conversations is now.
I think everybody's super excited because it was a long time coming to make this work.
And coming up, we have a Texas author in studio who's written a collection of short stories to help children learn some valuable life lessons.
All right, Texas, and some of us will see that into our Sunday with trading triple digits for some 90s. So we're going to crank the heat down just slightly for the second half of the weekend. Here's what your Sunday will look like. Rain chances for some. We actually will see a couple of storms in Dallas-Fort Worth. Otherwise, dry and sunny for deep South Texas and a slight chance of rain out west in El Paso.
The strength of Texas is in its many voices and unique perspectives. Every Sunday, join host Carla Leal on In Focus Texas. Education, economy, immigration, and more. Balanced and respectful discussion of the serious matters impacting Texas from experts across the state.
We take a closer look at the issues in your community.
In Focus Texas, Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Spectrum News 1. Available on all your favorite.
So you're telling me this one-size-fits-all network upgrade is the best you guys can do?
Better than that. It's the only thing we do.
That's how we know it's right for you.
Aye, aye, aye.
Is that what I said?
No, I think you were okay. I think that's a yes.
We get it. Ask for the technology you need, and they call you unreasonable. We call you something else, our kind of client. So go ahead, be unreasonable.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
Little everyday conversations about the dangers of underage drinking can make a...
Today at Zilker Park, where folks from across the state of Texas are coming together for this.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to our communities around the clock, delivering stories that inspire and news that matters in your community. Our journalists are dedicated to bringing you trusted, balanced, local news every day. And now, Spectrum Internet-only customers, you can watch Spectrum News 1 on your TV, connecting you to your community 24/7. Spectrum News, now streaming, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Hi, welcome back. Well, new technology is helping people with attention deficit disorder. Ashley Claster shows us the positive impact it's having on kids.
Traylor Mitchell is 15 and is diagnosed with ADD, attention deficit disorder. His dad, Basil, found a solution to help him focus. It's called Play Attention.
Class, there's a lot of students talking and stuff, and I'm able to pay attention to the board and listen to the teacher talk.
The product is brand new to the market.
It's a computer software program, and it comes with this body weight. Now, this is the brains of the technology. You can place this anywhere on your body, as long as it's touching your skin. Has these 3 prongs here that pick up brain waves anywhere in the body.
Focus.
Play Attention's new mindful media player is a unique approach to
Move the green broom to the chair,
combining neurotechnology and mindfulness training.
The software comes with a bunch of different games. This is one of the basic ones. It's attention stamina.
The app's creator says recent studies have found people with ADHD who received mindfulness-based cognitive therapy showed improvements in symptoms of depression and anxiety, as well as improvements in attention and executive functioning.
And he'll be focused on the screen and on the character.
Basil and his wife Sheree have Traylor do 5 games twice a week.
A lot of kids with ADHD and autism, they constantly move, start tapping your feet. So you'll see it'll start going up because any motion like that will make it go. Now, stay still, start focusing again. And now you can see it's continuing to sink.
Traylor went to a middle school for kids with learning difficulties, public school. His mom says these games helped him complete his freshman year.
So I'm expecting to see a bigger difference next year, his sophomore year.
Well, growing up, we can all look back and remember our favorite storybook and the lessons we learned through the power of reading. Well, here with us today is Melissa Aguilar-Rame, author of Tiny Stories of Truth, a collection of faith-based stories. Appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I've been thumbing through this, love the book. How did it all come about?
Well, writing a book has always been a goal of mine for a while.
Yeah.
And this actually just kind of came together when my daughter started kindergarten. Each month they would learn a new Bible verse, and they were supposed to practice the verse every day. And then at the end of the month, they would present the verse in front of the class. And at the same time, she was learning how to read and learning new sight words each week. She's supposed to be learning at school and make her little short stories at home that tie in the Bible verse and then the actual sight words that she was learning each week, and write her little stories. And so that's how the first story came about. And then I just continued on with that kind of as she was learning more words. And so some of the verses are the ones that she learned at school, and then some of the Bible verses are my favorites that I think are also relatable, easily relatable to children.
And great, the way you described it, great retention.
Yes.
In that department. And also, too, you got to talk about the illustrations. Hope you guys can see this. You had kids illustrate the book, including I think she's the chief illustrator,
yes.
right? Your daughter? Tell us how this all came about.
Yeah, so the very first story, she illustrated for me. And again, that was the first one that I had written. And so I actually made that story for her, but then I gave it to a little girl in her class for her birthday because her name is Dottie, and that story is about her. And so I asked my daughter to do drawings. And then as I wrote more stories, we recruited kids in the neighborhood and then some other kids that I knew, and just asked them if they wanted to help. And so I gave them a copy of each story that they were going to do, and they just ran with it.
And also, let's talk about the reading skills, because as you read the book, it's going to help kids with their reading skills. How does that work here?
Yeah, so each story progressively gets a little bit longer, and then the words get a little bit more difficult. So the very first story is pretty short, and the words are really basic. And then the next story has a little bit more difficult words. And then the last story has a couple of 2 or 3 syllable words that maybe the parent or the teacher needs to help the child with. And so they kind of build on each other, and that's really how it's structured.
That is amazing, yeah. The book is really cute, so I appreciate you coming in. You can find this at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, correct?
Yes, but I did want that, so you can find books and short stories with basic sight words anywhere. And the difference that I wanted to do in creating this book is to actually teach children God's Word and scripture, and to relate the stories with the reflection questions and the connection in the back and the prayer at the end, to go beyond just learning how to read basic sight words, but to also just know God's word and keep it in their heart.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for watching.
The decisions elected officials make really have an impact on all of us. A big part of what we do on Capitol Tonight is break down the issues so that they're easily understood. We want to bring you a better understanding of local issues and the local impact of national issues with relevant, in-depth conversations that provide context for Texans in a balanced and informative way. Capitol Tonight, weeknights at 7 on Spectrum News 1.
They say the best things in life are free.
That's why Spectrum Mobile is in line for $29.99.
Hey, so I can get 2 lines for the price of 1? That's right, for just $29.99.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months with no contracts. Call 1-844-537-2999. Visit spectrum.com/getconnected or Spectrum store today.
It's the best deal in mobile.
Free mobile sounds good, but is the service reliable?
Absolutely. Spectrum Mobile is super reliable, coast to coast.
Okay, but what's the catch?
Is it contracts?
No contracts, no catch.
Get 1 line for $29.99 and the second line is free.
All with no taxes or hidden fees.
Whew. Man, I'm switching to Spectrum. You said?
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months. Call 1-844-537-2999.
Get the best deal in mobile. Switch to Spectrum.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, you tell me to stay rooted. I think I